Yeah, I'm not. Hey. Yeah, it's good to see you behind this. Here, slide it away. Oh no, or caught. Alright, cool. Much better audio. Okay, so we're just gonna put this right here because I know my quiet self. I never speak up when I need to. Yeah. My first environment. I look like a child. Yo, what's up? We're gonna be reading my book tonight, The Dark Romance. So 18 and up only. I do. It's in my counter. In my wallet. So I'm gonna read 19, 36, and 41 tonight. So um the new so gorgeous. Check the skull bag. I don't know. All right. Let's grab our setup from back there since we had to move up here. You know. How's that up? Just a flower vase, nothing to see, TikTok. Nothing at all. But Twitch gets to. It's one of my favorite pieces. Crazy. Crazy talk. Hey, we're live everywhere. Okay. I'm live on TikTok over there.
Yeah.
Can you make sure to just keep my desk out of frame?
Yeah.
That I can keep doing my Twitch thing. Because this is why the people of Twitch join me. Because they usually join me from the workplace of my little supporters. Thank you guys. Even though I never post on here anymore, you guys still support. Oh lord, what? Alright, am I out of frame? Okay. Don't mind the ghost in the house. It's only fitting for our spooky dark romance read. Alright. So you've seen the videos. Obviously, I've been talking about this recently. But we have a quirky BPD OCD witchy female main character, FMC of course. If you weren't here earlier, the title is Metamorphoses. It's the first book of the series. I am super excited to announce my first book. Yeah, you can't tell, it's very fitting of me, the black and purple cover. That's not on brand at all. Just anyway. MMC main male character is going to be I forgot to mention she's a college sophomore. She has her witchy ritualistic patterns that help keep her aligned and balanced. Structures her sanity. MMC is a little more on the rockstar meets professor, bad boy with intelligence, if you will. A lot more complex than most MMCs in dark romance, and I may have been possibly inspired by elements in my life. So he is an older, tatted, muscular, handsome fellow who likes to wear his sleeves rolled up of his button-up shirts. She's more of a fishnets, ripped jeans, and black combat boots type of girl. And typically, it wouldn't be right for a professor and a student to have an ongoing attraction, if you will. But on this campus, anything is possible. Um, and basically, a lot of my a lot of my themes for my brand, my personality, my aesthetic, whatever you consider it, have been based around witchy, pagan, moonlight, different elements. Um, and I like to think that those are well included in the book. I like to think that it has a good amount of spice. I feel like if you're not quite onto Credence yet, that's okay. This won't be too overwhelming for you in the way of how heavily saturated it is, um, and the level that it goes to. But I feel like if you enjoy, for example, Anna Wong or Lauren Asher, those types of authors, those are some of my favorites that I read regularly. And I really enjoy their level. Thank you. I really enjoy their level that they keep the spice at. I feel like it's a good medium between taking you through that realm that they're creating for you, giving you that backstory to those characters, and then also destroying you in the same chapter. And I don't know. I will say there are some parts that are absolutely unhinged. Whatever you think would work for you, honestly, it's your body. I I wanted to read chapter 1 for you guys, but I'm going to skip that tonight. We'll go into that another night, and I know that sounds weird, but chapter 1 was mainly to give you an idea of the foreshadowing in this book, the attention to detail, the depth of the story, um, and the overall, like, effort behind all of the description, basically. I'll come back to that tomorrow night, more than likely. But for now, I do want to start out with chapter 19, and then we are going to skip to 36 and then 41. Buckle up. um, so it's free on Kindle. You can get the ebook for free and support your girl. Or you can get it on Amazon. This is the back. A little closer look. I know it's gonna be flipped, but that's okay. Front. And then also all right. I'm not a comfortable public reader, so you guys have to bear with me while I navigate through my anxiety in real time. This is also very out of my comfort zone. Chapter 19. He woke on the couch with the taste of iron in his mouth and black lace under his cheek. Sun unhung itself from the blinds and found him. It found the swelling at his knuckles, the dried half-moons of blood lodged in the lines of his hand. A faint brown arc at his cheek where the ring had kissed him wrong. He didn't move at first. The house held a careful quiet, the kind that comes after an argument you won but shouldn't. The panties were warm from sleep. His fingers had curled around them sometime in the night. A small animal he'd kept from running. He uncurled his hand slowly, reverently, and then, before thought, rewrite the instinct, he lifted the lace close for one more breath. Her heat was softer now, muted by hours and daylight, but still there, the layered truth of her. Not cologne or club that had burned off. What remained was skin and salt and the low sugar of sex dried at the edges. The musk that didn't apologize for being a body. It struck the back of his throat like incense in a sanctuary that didn't ask what you'd done to get there. For a stupid, dangerous second, he let his eyes close. Then he pulled away as if burned. Enough, he said to an empty room and heard in the word both a leash and a prayer. He stood cautiously like someone wearing a new shape. The first thing he did was find a place to put the lace, not the trash. Blasphemy, not a pocket again, temptation. He opened a drawer in the old cedar desk, hesitated, then took a small linen handkerchief he never used and made a nest of it. The panties went there, folded once, invisible unless you knew where to look. He shut the drawer softly as if something inside were sleeping. The mirror over the mantel returned a version of it, looked like a warning. Beard clotted at one edge with dried rust, cheek scraped, and an auburn-shadowed bruise coming up beneath his left eye. The tight, pale shine across split knuckles. He turned on the tap water and let the water run cold until the pipes learned to obey. He scrubbed his hands first, nails, webbing, the places blood lived longest, then worked at his face with soap and a clean washcloth until the owl let go of him. The cuts stung. He welcomed. Pain was a crisping agent. It burned off lies. Okay, does anybody have any thoughts so far? I am completely open to comments. Okay. At the kitchen counter, he made coffee with the fast, punch efficiency of a man who used to make hangovers behave. The smell climbed his sinuses and tried to comfort. He stood at the sink with the mug and a bowl of ice, dropping cubes into a towel and pressing it around his knuckles until the ache negotiated a ceasefire. Pieces of last night replayed with the throbbing cruelty of a fire alarm. The wrist he'd crushed until it stopped lying. The knee that had gone where knees don't. The boy's breath struggling under his forearm. He saw the knife flash and felt the old animal roll its shoulders under his skin like a storm that had only just missed the house. He had not killed anyone. He had not wanted to. The wanting was its own indictment. He found the first aid kit he always told himself was for hiking and menial adulthood, and set about the manual labor of penance, tweezers for the grit, peroxide fixing white at the splits, antibiotic cream, careful wraps of gauze that made his hands look like he'd been working on a machine that fit back. He taped each finger like it belonged to someone who might need it later for gentler work. Breakfast was aspirational. He made eggs and watched them harder in the pan, and then didn't eat them. The coffee went down in a series of disciplined swallows. He smoked on the back steps with his hands wrapped around the cigarette like a pilgrim warming herself at a candle. He hadn't planned to smoke again. He hadn't planned a lot of things. Every 15 minutes, his eyes went to the phone on the counter, waiting for the news. Didn't come. Campus alert, police blotter, a text he could never answer. The screen stayed dumb. He unlocked it once, typed anonymous reporting line campus police into the search bar, stared, erased. If he called, he'd have to say what he'd done. If he didn't, those boys might come back for someone else. He blew smoke, watched it break and reassemble on the April air. The number remained uncalled. By late morning, the house began to offend him simply by existing. He went at it like a man possessed. Counters scrubbed to his sterile shine, laundry in the washer, boots scrubbed with a nail brush until the soles gave up their grit. The shirt he'd worn last night, soaking in a basin that bloomed, then cleared, then bloomed again. He stripped the couch of its throw. Some of the dried brown had smudged there, carried it to the sink like a small body. The ritual of order calmed him, where sleep had not. He made piles and exiled them to where they belonged. He swept and discovered nothing swept again. When the washer thunked its end of cycle song, he flinched anyway. He put the shirt out on the black line and cold night, and for the second breeze carried Jasmine so cleanly that as if she'd walked past him again. He stood there with the clothespin and closed his eyes in the grief of wanting and the terror of what almost was passed through him. Weather. He went for a run because there are problems that will tolerate nothing. The first mile hurt the way cold does when it's honest. The second mile taught his lungs their job again. He kept to the campus perimeter, a loop that let him watch without being. The dormitories rose like teeth against the sky. He didn't look for her window. He looked at all of them and none, and kept his stride distinct, disciplined. His breath counted 4 in, 4 out, until the animal under his skin lay down and matched him. He turned his route away from the strip where the alley lived. He didn't trust himself to see it. Back home, he showered too hot, too long. The water beat his shoulders while his mind replayed the moment in the dorm. Skirt had ridden up and the world had narrowed, could have taken without being stopped. He breathed through the memory as if it were a muscle cramp, and remembered instead the blanket, the act of looking away on purpose. He clung to that, not as absolution, but as arithmetic. A line he hadn't first begged him. He trimmed his beard, he dressed and cleaned. He made a sandwich and a half. He sat at his desk and opened his lesson plan. Metamorphoses as choice. Words sat arrogant at the page from a better day when ideas were. He added a note beneath a smaller hand, and as App stared at the. He imagined writing a chapter on the difference between chrysalis and a trap. He tried an outline, an hour on Ovid, and the lies we tell about change. The pen wrote, "Control is not goodness. Denial is not virtue. Appetite is not evil." He capped the pen and sat down, as if it was right. He lit another cigarette. The ashtray began to look like. In the late afternoon, the quiet became. He drove, no destination, then found himself idling at the far end of the campus where the maples made a red spine in October. Students walked by in pairs and clots, laughing, touching shoulders, kicking themselves like bodies that still belonged entirely to them. He kept the truck running and the radio off. He watched long enough to be sure the world hadn't ended just because his ad tilted. He almost got out. He almost walked to the dorm and stood across the lawn like a fool if a light came. He pictured himself a silhouette in her life, where there shouldn't be one. and the image shamed him and put the truck back here. On the way home, he passed the liquor store. The neon glared, a lazy predator. He watched the door open and close on boys who looked like the boys in the alley and older men who looked like he could look if he let himself. He parked half a block away and just sat. The pole was a physical thing like a rope knotted to us. He waited it out. He unknotted it by naming, letting it live and not obeying. He drove on. In the blue hour, he took the shirt in from the line. The stain had gone. The fabric smelled like. He folded it and put it away like the proof. You can remove some of what a night all. Some. He made tea he didn't particularly want. He rubbed his knuckles again. The skin had wet through. He checked the cedar drawer once, not just to confirm the relic still existed, that he hadn't invented life to make himself into some perverse hero into his own story. The linen lay there, innocent. He shut the drawer and put his palm flat against it, let it be. He thought about calling other and didn't. He thought about calling no one and did that instead. Dark came, and with it the reply. Not the fight now, but the carrying. The weight of her in his arms, how she'd gone boneless in a way that wasn't surrender but trust. The way her head had on the shelf of his chest like she'd practiced it. He felt again the give of her when room. He felt again the give of her when he set her down. The insult of her bare thigh before he'd corrected the room. The weird humility of the filling of a plastic cup from a dorm fridge like a father in a world he didn't belong to. The tenderness stung more than the violence. He made himself an iron rule he didn't write down. If she remembers, don't. If she looks at you tomorrow and asks, you will be a man who heard a rumor she came home safe. If she never knows, you carry it. If she opens her mouth and says Theo with recognition, you tell the smallest truth that protects the biggest part. I walked you. The rule was a lie scaffolded over the truth. It would do until it. He went back to the desk and tried to angle the lesson for Monday toward anything that wasn't a mirror. He wrote Metamorphoses, a mercy. When you refuse to become because someone else needs you to stay human. He underlined refuse, and then laughed once, bitter and soft. He wasn't sure refusal was what had happened. He had ridden it like a man who knew the horse and feared it and loved it anyway. At midnight, the house felt smaller than his skin. He opened the cedar drawer because his skin wanted what the mind had decided. He didn't take it. He rested his fingertips and let the travel up his stall his breath again. He remembered the way how even now she ghosted his sinuses as he'd moved shade. Cathedral smell after the inn goes dark. He closed the drawer and went to the back step, smoked one last cigarette into the cool, and crushed it flat. He locked the kitchen door and checked it twice. He washed his face again. It was all ready. He turned off the lights, the kitchen down. He did not take the panties from the drawer. He did not put his hand where he had. He let the ache he'd earned sit beside the dog. He folded his bandage across his chest in a pain and stared at the dark long enough for it to stare back. Sleep came grudgingly, the same image it had been. Her, under the cheap blanket, safe, hair fanned, the crescent at her throat, catching a street. The part of him that had wanted to finish those boys opened its mouth. The part that had carried her told him. Between them, he drifted. Tomorrow he would walk into a room and talk about change, like he hadn't seen what it really could. He would not look at the drawer. He would fail at both. He slept anyway. That's chapter 19. Also, thank you guys for bearing with me, because I'm a fucking slow reader. It doesn't help that I'm tired, but that's why we have coffee. It's fine. We'll be good. We did forget my book. Invite. Fine. But we have a hairpin for. Alright. Like, did I get any comments? What book is it? It is my book. It is Metamorphoses. It is on Amazon and free on Kindle. On my beak. Oh, cute. I didn't even see you did that on Twitch. It's pretty cool. Very good. Which one should we do now? Oop. Brief intermission. Said, how would we pause the yeah. Why not? I think I should.
Looks great over here.
I know it doesn't look great on mine. And I was getting better views when my fucking light was on. So now I can't reach my. Oh wait, I have my hub. Said bing bong. Okay, period.
How many years you have?
I keep getting a couple go in and out. I had some stay for a little bit. Hey! Twitch is going great though. Twitch, you got a couple party people. So we gonna come over here. Cause you guys wait. Okay. Period. I love that for you, but that's not the subject of today's discussion is my dark romance book. I'm reading you guys chapters from it. But we have to take a short garden break because Twitch is popping. And I gotta give the people what they want. I have a couple viewers on Twitch. What do you not see?
Oh, there's a...
No. I have 3. I'm like, who would be the third? We're not watching it on a third streaming platform. Like, what? I was like, I know we're 2 of them, but I don't. I got Twitch friends, what can I say? Okay? My people support me on here. Also, my monitor's up. That's why I keep, like, looking up. I'm, like, force of habit, but, like... That's crazy. It's just it's just haunted in my house before Halloween. What is happening? Anyways, yo, it is. It's fucking crazy. This chair goes crazy, man. It's got a kitty and everything. Look, I got a little kitty guy. Got a little. This chair. Fire. Thank my fiance for that. Just like everything else I have. Because I'm mad spoiled. If you have any questions about garden community or the book or merch, let me know in the comments. This reading sesh is powered by garden herbs and coffee. And amazing book. Let's fucking go. Alright, so like well, you know. You heard him. Guys, I'm shy and I'm literally reading smut for you. Follow me out here. I know. Listen, I know what it sounds like, okay, right? But, like, I'm shy. Like, I'm actually. Let's go. I need more peeps in here. What's going on? We had so many people earlier. Like, the later in the day, the less views. What's happening? I just. Peace. It's my first book. Help a girl out. Help a girly out. Also, hold on. Two. My sticker. I have new stickers coming out. But make sure you check out my beacon. Okay. Hello? I didn't mean to grab my desk drawer. I meant to grab my desk. Just get closer. Alright. How in frame am I for you? No, I was trying to be out of frame. Perfect. Is when am I gonna get sponsored by Blazy Susan, please? Because your girl loves. Anyways. A bowl of courage, if you will. You feel? Cheers. Okay. Alright, the ghosts are attacking, guys. Okay. So for real though. Last two lives we reached not only my viewer goals, but also my gifting goals. What's happening? Guys, tell me what's going on here. Where are my regular people who were in my lives earlier? I need to understand. I thought we were friends. Okay. One more cereal bowl for Twitch, and then we have to read. You understand? This is important. We're hard launching tonight, guys. Okay. Everyone. Did we all ears? Very good. It is for 4:20 p.m. somewhere. All right. Chapter 36. The handle was cool under Ken's. The tendons at her I'm fucking weak. At her wrist were warm against it. The door sighed. Takes no theatric, just a tilt that every living thing. Dry erase and old chalk tried to hold their. They lost it slowly to the warmer she carried. Salt, sweet, human, with the faint of rosemary riding. The kind of scent that doesn't arrive to a place. The scent that taunted her before. The scent he had own self. She did not look for him. The air would do for her. Not her usual desk. Set her notebook in the front row. One desk nearer than her. Directly beneath the projector. And along the line. Sticky. Honest. She draped the black cardigan over the chair back like a small flag laid down later. The brass throats crooked on slit of the blacks. I fucking read tonight. Oh my god, you guys are literally seeing the ADHD. The slit of the black skirt learned her stride and kept its own counsel. Sat with stillness, spine long, shoulders open, one ankle hooked back the other, unhooked. Then a deliberate cross toward the aisle to the high slit open. Briefly, clean, sheer, and closed like a well-kept secret. And capped small sex. She placed her water bottle on the choreography she'd rehearsed with the morning's patient. He had already written Metamorphoses. By the time her Theo's hand drew the world in even strokes, each letter a rung. Beneath it he printed the triad ribs: appetite, mercy, restraint. And low in the corner as a talisman, against his own weather, witness. He had come with utility, an orderly board, an agenda too dry to flirt. He had also come with the chest that knew the brain filed them. He did not look at it. He let the room touch him in the way it always corners, its temper, tiny shuffle of bodies finding it. The air was different. He could put it in a sentence later. He had to. For now it lived below language or sentence rank. Agenda, he said, plain, steady. Language into body. Seeing versus safety. Witness. The first 10 minutes belonged to habit. Kenzie adjusted the crescent as if to straighten it, left it crooked, bending the underlying date. The inside of her wrist caught the projector's light. A small pulse glancing back. She slid the water bottle an inch, the base leaving a wet ring she thumbed away. The press cool circle onto the flat of her wrist. Practical, nothing more. Yet the small comp woke body understood and fine. Theo meant to pace the rows early. He didn't. 2 steps toward the aisle and slow, patient chord of her more fully, until the institutional clean warmth with a green thread through, not a fog, a rope. That rope of her most intimate, the one that had carried in his pocket as an obsession, threatened to wrap round him, rob him of self-control right. He pivoted, let the chalk keep him at the board, and made it look of diagrams to make hunger. He said, using his own line like a rail. You decide what you'll do about it. That decision needs a life around you or eats. A boy in row 6 laughed at the cadence. Theo rode the laugh long enough for his breath to. The animal inside his ribs stepped back, watchful. He capped the marker as if putting a lid on steam. Lindsay listened hard enough to the room center. She let 2 other hands go up. Offered assent only when the structure. She didn't chase his praise. She chased the temperature. The cardigan came off, not as a reveal, but as an honest concession to a warm. Without it, the sheer blouse took a low wash of her glow and returned it along the edges of her shoulders and collarbones, the geography of pull. She set her forearms on the desk. The delicate interior of her wrist turned slightly outward so light found she turned a page. The warmth of the room and the bearing of more ivory cashmere skin only thickening the temptation that danced. She twisted lip balm open, pressed once at the bow of her mouth, then capped it. If anyone noticed, they would call it practical. Practical things can be instruments when a person knows where to put their hand. Theo drew fences because fences men who've known hounds. Look, don't own. Near, not safe. He could feel where she sat with front row, aisle, close enough that on his usual lap, the scent she wore would stand up on hind legs, introduce. He stayed at the board, chamomile sat in his travel mug, pulling toward the kind of warmth you drink because you're the sort of person who drinks. He swallowed. It whispered back nothing, which is sometimes what you want, but also left him yearning. The calm it promises, the broke the promise to provide. She tuned the air one notch up. Lemon candy broke under her more, a Zoe artifact, lifting the rosemary toward something brighter while sharpening the human note beneath. She breathed in through her nose, out slowly. Patience thickening her like water. The frequency, the kind that doesn't reach everyone, just the people. Spoke about witness doesn't confer custody. It's not a permit. Four heads underlined debt. He did not look to see if in sketch just over which remembering being in. Lindsay made the first small escalation. Loosen the half. It waiting it busy. Her retreat landed and shifted one seat. Murmured better angle to no one, which put her squarely in the line used when she gave in. Proximity is a quiet. She spoke it like a native. Her pen fell. Clean click. Then a spin into the aisle that stopped at the step. She tracked it with her eyes rather than her face. Not a show, a clean hinge of motion. Fabric closed as soon as virtue reared itself. She stood in hand and did not look, as if to prove the point. This wasn't about seeing, it was about knowing. He invited free right, 3 lines on refusal, and the room bowed its collected head. The quiet of a room writing as it shall. If you flexed bandaged knuckles, white squares he'd chosen not to narrate to anyone, and gripped chalk again, because chalk breaks if he needed the threat of. Lindsay wrote 2 lines fast, and then slowed her hand for the third until breath and motion became the same instant. She tore the strip along her, folded it thin, slid it halfway down, and into her notebook as a marker. The kind of placement that would release a soft exhale, paper warm air when the page turned clear. Then she did the smallest, most consequential thing of the hour. She nudged the notebook an inch closer to the aisle. 1 inch moved the weather. He chose a colder poem. Close read. Old ice. Lines. So the class had to think hard enough that the animal inside him had to sit and listen. It worked for 2 pages. On the third, he felt the inch she'd taken, swallowed tea and got the taste of wood. He spoke a careful compliment. 7. His diction very slightly too formal. The way a person talks when there's a muscle he's not willing. Where's the line between describing and using? Posed, and the room woke. Kenzie waited until two answers tangled and then slid her sentence between them. Where consent is pretending to be an analysis. It rippled outward, behind his head, as if someone had handed him a tool he'd wanted but hadn't thought. She turned the flame up a degree at a time. She eased the top button of the blouse, not undressed. Breathe. So the crescent dropped a breath lower to the place where projector warmth had. The seventh row couldn't see the difference. He could. She did not check. She pressed her palm over the condensation that her water had left and touched the cool center to the notch at the base of her, as if waking herself from daydream. The skin brightened for one held second and then returned to ordinary, except now the projector back in place for her. She fanned the notebook casually. A small current set down. And if the air could carry language, she had been teaching us all out. Under the desk, out of a one. The jester, the jester. I'm weak. Is your life still active? Because mine just almost inactive. Unable to verify. There we go. Okay. Anyways. Fuck, where was I?
I'm just sitting in.
Under the desk, the pad of a finger traced one quick line along the top edge of her stocking, fixed the seam. The gesture wasn't visible to anyone else. It didn't need to be. The body that had been learning her all hour understood it fluently. Theo heard the button move in the way a man in a quiet house hears a floorboard ridiculous and real. He praised a point in row 6 in a tone half degree warmer than neutral to buy time. He considered his lap of the aisle, as he always did one. He only took 2 steps down, and the rope she'd been making all hour, stood at chest height and spoke his name without a mouth. He pivoted, made the turn into a teachable moment about how proximity distorts perspective. The class laughed. He got back to the board with his dignity intact and indented. The underlined witness again. Chalk squealed. The animal behind the face of his ribs stood and did not. He breathed through his nose, breathed again. He had done harder things than this. He would do this too. Last 10 minutes. He let risk show its face. When he called for a quick partner exchange about refusal as care, she didn't pivot to the student beside her. She rose with her notebook in hand and stepped 2 places into the aisle, stopping just inside the path he used when he paced, angling the page so that the top edge pointed toward him without flaunting anything to the room. I just want to make sure I'm not cheapening witness here, she said, pitching the sentence to the first 2 rows, not the board. She traced a nail under her line. Refused to reduce. And waited, head tilted, as if to catch a response. The projector glossed her collarbone, the crescent winked, her breath moved the page. He stayed where he was. Good. This didn't need him to cross the room. It required him to feel that he could. She returned to her seat and crossed me toward the aisle with a patience that made the high slit into a thesis. One long, indrawn stillness, and then uncrossed. Virtue returning so slowly it read as a decision rather than a default. Anyone seated where he stood would have understood the grammar without a dictionary. She unscrewed the cap on her water and touched 2 fingers to the rim. Then, not even looking at them, she pressed those fingers lightly to the inner joint of each wrist. The cooling of pulse. Practical. Also, a bell struck once for the frequency she had been teaching the room to keep. Her cardigan slipped from the chair and puddled near the corner of her desk, where his hands always went. She stood, stepped to the podium, bent cleanly, lifted it, rose, and without flourish, shook it once to settle it over her forearm. The scent that had lived close to her all hour had nowhere else to be in that instant but there, between wood and beard and breath. She exhaled small, near the grain. Anyone sitting where he was, they would have called it scandal. No one else was. The building's clock loosened its bell in the walls, the minute beginning, and its slow swing. He shook 60. He didn't. Ending early would have been surrender, and he did not surrender sober. He set Monday's assignment gently on the room. 5 lines on a time you saw something you couldn't name, and what you did to keep it from lying to you. And listened to pens scratched this new debt into place. Lids snapped, zippers zipped, chair legs scraped the floor into public again. He erased the board one careful rectangle at a time. Then he felt them whispering. He wasn't going to look. He had already looked with everything except his eyes. The hinge breathed a last soft quiet. Lindsay did not let waiting be quickly. Slowly and deliberately she slid her legs from under the desk, one then the other, so that in the breath between steps the thin black fabric, still drenched from the morning's denial, was laid bare for her. As was the mixture of glitter, sweat, and the bare bit of her above her. She stood when the last argument about lunch to the hall, and across small distance to his desk, nothing tempered. Slit spoke boldly and directly, without having. The sheer blouse whispered and withdrew. She set the folded note exactly where it would land. Next, tapped the back of her knuckle. Sound, and she did one because certainty. She placed beside, and he left. Unforgotten, the one with the weight that felt like a reliable sense. Recognition freed the memory of a quieter day to the hour she'd made. Older still, leaned, only enough that if someone had been seated at the board, they might have had to recalibrate theirs. And smooth the note with 2 fingers, slow, passive. Etiquette, her own, and those same fingers wrote her thoughtful follow up she decided. The air read it differently. She didn't speak. Words were inside the fold. She let a small, knowing smile appear. The ember banked, not a torch, and she turned. The leather of her boots made 2 clean sounds. Style. She didn't look back. Confidence is a climate, not a glance. Theo watched the last rectangle of chalk become wood and set the felt as if it had bones. The note lay in the middle, white and decisive. The pen beside it pulled a thread through his chest back to the week before they stepped onto this. Their bridge. You reached, stopped, counted without deciding to. The door's hydraulic arm exited. The room thought about being empty and agreed. He opened. Tomorrow. Off campus. Find me at the mall. Not here. No names. No notes. Just find me. If you can't, let that be our answer. If you can, you won't need one. He read it again. Paper held the warmth his mind could excuse in 6 different ways, and only before any of those could dress themselves as permission or guilt, he raised the folded face and single deliberate through his not flowers, not for clean warmth, a ghost of green, low human salt, and tortuously stigma. He had been pretending wasn't a language for 50 minutes. The room still wore the climate she'd made. The paper concentrated it. Ignition at a razor's edge. Hurt the way a good truth hurt. Christ, he said, not as oath, as measurement. A single syllable carried the ache of what he had held back in the exhaustion that always follows a victory no one gets to applaud. He lowered the paper policy systems hold for him, folded it along its existing seams with surgical, slid it into the jacket hanging up. The pocket served with chalk, the memory of lemon, a ribbon of rain, and a warmth that had nothing to do with her. He pinched the bridge of his nose, the old gesture for an old ache, an act that only worsened his agony as his fingertips was the very scent he tried to ignore. He stood still until the animal inside him settled onto it, unblinking, unappeased, not unloved. The door eased itself shut behind her. On the far side of it, in the corridor where the climate couldn't follow, Kenzie paused only long to let the hydraulic hit finish. She didn't mean to look. She did. Through the narrow pane, she saw the page for a single careful breath, eyes closing the way a man calibrates a compass. She filed the image with her vowels and walked the hallway at an ordinary pace with a temperature no hallway could cool. The plan under her notebook cover felt less like dare, more. Slit argued with proprietary every and the cardigan, almost like the crescent, in rhythm with a heart that chosen its next. That was chapter 36. Alright, what do we think? What do we think? Nice. I had a couple over here hanging out. Nice. What does everybody think so far? It's my new book. But I have a sleepy in my eye.
I would give them the thing that could chapter it. Be intense. It's all. Let them know.
As a warning or an invitation, the next chapter is very spicy. GT. What do we think so far? Do we like it? Any thoughts? This is my first book. Obviously a dark romance. Hey, I haven't even gotten any restrictions yet. That's crazy. But yeah. But I did when I posted about this live being live. Would you guys watch again tomorrow night? Question. Or I guess not tomorrow night. The night after. Do we think? Do we have any thoughts on Twitch? I finally have my chat turned on for once. I know I'm like terrible, honestly. I know I'm very bad about keeping my chat on, but I actually have it on. You know, my new book. Anyways, it's on Amazon or it's free. Can literally read it for free. I don't know why he flipped this way. I can't see the comment what I look like, but I'm sorry, guys. Also streaming TikTok and my Twitch. Also, always welcome to join over there. Just saying. Literally, just saying. Understand why you have it flipped this way so I can't see the comments or what I look like right now, but it's quite alright. It's okay. I was just laughing about it, and then I was just asking, like, would anybody watch on Halloween? Like, late? Late night Halloween, potentially? But no, that's both of us open. I was saying, do it. You're good. Apparently, people don't have a lot going on Halloween. So I'll be here. Feel free to. Yeah, so we'll do a little work costume reveal since we're doing a group costume, and then we'll do a chapter 41 read, and I'll read you guys since I wanted to anyways. I'm like, I think I'll read you another spicy chapter that night as well. But we'll see. We'll see how you feel about 41 first. Wild. There are lots of content and trigger warnings in my book. So I'll be sure to go over those before we start reading 41. Thank you guys for joining tonight. Oh, did we book page? Thank you. I appreciate you guys. I genuinely like I do not have a lot of confidence with reading publicly. So this is helping. But I will be back on tomorrow night. We'll read chapters 41 and I'll read you one more spicy chapter 2. Thank you so much. Have a great night. I appreciate you all for joining. You're amazing. Also, thank you everybody over here. I saw all your comments about other stuff like the setup and like appreciating my hair. I appreciate that so much. You guys have been lovely, been great. You've been super sweet and supportive, and I honestly just appreciate all of you like a lot. I couldn't have like honestly developed the confidence to do any of this without you guys. Please, if you have any free time and you like dark romance, check out my book. It's on Amazon and Kindle. On Kindle, it's free. Metamorphoses by Witch Wolf. I'm super proud of it. Check out my beacons to find my book and my merch. Again, I have all my trauma stickers and my dark humor stuff, and also my 420 stuff. So check it out. Thank you guys. You can find. Oh, I'm absolutely ignoring your nasty ass comments. I don't respond to weird shit. You're gonna learn real quick. I am sweet as pie until you get weird. Then I'm gonna roast and drag the fuck out of you, and so are my followers. Anyways, we're gonna end on a positive note. Oh, I'm sorry. Unless you're going to my beacons. No. No, no, no. Anyways. No, I appreciate you all so much. If you want to check that out, you can do that for free, or you can check out some of my stickers. Some of them are $2, some of them are, I think, max $5, honestly, for bigger ones. I have like, I also have like pins, but it's like, I think this is the $4 one. But yeah. These are the nails I'm gonna throw on. And yeah. So I'll show you guys my Halloween costume tomorrow. Read 2 of my smut novel chapters. Let's go. Have a great night, everybody. Alright, I'm gonna end the I appreciate you, co-host, wonderful fiance. Couldn't do it without you.